everyone. Welcome to your practice for today. For your practice today, you'll need a couple of things. You'll need a bolster. If you don't bolster, a couple of pillows will work really well anyway, so that's okay. A block, if you have one. Again, if you don't, an extra cushion or two or an extra pillow or two in addition to that one will work really well. And a blanket. So just not a whole, you could use a whole big doona if that works for you, but it doesn't have to be a whole situation. You definitely do want it to have some thickness. So one that you can use as a prop that way as well. And anything else that you feel you may want or need. So with that, with yin especially, we are essentially using the props and support to fill in the gaps. So those are the gaps between your body and the ground. So that way your nervous system and your whole body feels supported while it's also stretched. And this is how it works with the nervous system in that way. Is the literal opposite to yang, a reminder of that. So that means we're forcing or pushing or trying to push through. So this isn't Ashtanga yoga either. If you've practiced that before, if you've heard of that, it's not the forcing or pushing. It is where we come to let the body feel that support while also working with the stretch into the muscles and the connective tissue. So if you've never done it before, you will find that we're getting into the connective tissue as well through the long holds. So the long holds are there, the support is there, so you can handle the long holds without getting activated. So all of that to say, have more than enough props almost if you choose to, so you can have as many pillows or as many blankets as you like. Basically, you want to feel almost over supported. if nothing else, we'd rather you feel over supported rather than under supported. So with that session, I'll settle you in. We'll get connected with the breath, move into the practice of the long holds. All of this is part of your practice, and then we'll end with Shavasana, your final relaxation, and then we'll wrap it up from there. So all of that being said, find yourself a comfortable position. I'm going to stay seated for this part of the practice, but find yourself a comfortable position, maybe on your back. Or if you're growing tiny humans, you might lay on your left side. That might be a more comfortable side. If that is comfortable, if you need to sit up or support your back against a wall or a few pillows against the bed even, that works well too. So make it work for you. Of this beginning part is really to give you that intentional setting in and that intentional space. So with that, find that comfortable position, let yourself settle in. I'm going to assume that you may be laying down in some way, but if you're not, take it as you are anyway. Maybe having that little bit of a wiggle into the ground, letting the muscles and connective tissue of the back of the body know that there is support there, so it's able to rest and relax a little easier. Maybe taking a deep breath in and a long breath out. Let's do that twice more. A deep breath in, a long breath out. Once more, this big extended sigh. And then just find an easy breath. Let it be easy without control or force here. Maybe inviting your jaw to release that grip between the back teeth. Maybe noticing the weight of your body here. Being aware of how heavy your body feels and allowing it to be. Being aware of the points of connection between your body and the ground beneath you. So where those points feel like there's a little bit more pressure. And scanning through your body, noticing sensations. That are showing up, asking for your attention without trying to seek them out or definitely not creating them. Just noticing what shows up as it shows up. Maybe scanning through your body, noticing any sensations of tightness or contraction or compression. At the same time, notice any sensations of softness, relaxedness, or openness. And start to notice your natural breath here without trying to change it. Being aware of the natural depth of your breath, so where your body moves as you breathe in. The natural length of your breath, if one side of your breath is shorter or longer than the other. Natural pace of your breath. It's quick and rushed and hurried, like it's running a race, or it's slow and relaxed. And start to invite your breath in to deepen down towards your abdomen. Getting this sense of filling up as gradually as you need it to be, as you want it to be. Breathing in towards the bottom of your lungs. So it's not forcing your belly out of the way at all. You're breathing in towards the bottom of the lungs. That's what presses the diaphragm down, and that movement gently moves your belly forward out of the way. When you feel ready to start to lengthen your breath out so that it matches the length of your breath in, finding this equal breath, this breath of balance and coherence. This breath is a little bit longer than your natural breath, but again, not to the point of force or exertion. You might stay with this equal breath. You might like to lengthen your exhale so that it's a little bit longer than the length of your inhale. This unequal breath. Its intention is to be calming, but as always, if it doesn't feel that way, if it doesn't feel useful, if it feels activating or overwhelming, ease back. With any breathing technique like that, or any breathing technique, if there is a reaction happening, ease back before you reach the edge point, not trying to push through the edge. Just another couple of breath cycles. Letting go of the control of your breath when you're ready, let your natural breath return. A reminder for your practice that each transition is just as important as the poses themselves, so really honor that. And you're only really aiming for intensity levels that are really about 60 to 70%, maybe 80 depending on the pose, depending on what feels really useful for you, but nothing where you're pushing. So I don't know if you picked up on that yet, nothing where you're pushing. Really find the edge and just rest next to it, gently lean into it rather than trying to push through everything else. This is the real practice of these practices. By the way, it can be really challenging to allow ourselves to do just that. But from a series of purpose, the nervous system, and helping to re-regulate, it's an important part of how we practice recovery of all kinds. So when you feel ready, you can start to invite gentle movement back into your body. You might draw circles through the wrists and ankles a few times each direction. Maybe stretching your arms up and over your head. Point your feet, a big stretch to the front of the body, a sigh, yawn if you need it, whatever works for you. And then let your knees come into your chest to give yourself a big hug. Stillness or gentle rock side to side or drawing circles a few times each direction, whatever works. Rolling over to one side when you're ready, helping you setting this. It's not a comfortable seat, setting up. So finding your props. So you might grab your block from your block alternatives. Place the head end of your mat. Also, low, plural, multiple, you're on an incline, right? So anything a little bit more stable than this. This is a bit flimsy, but have a little bit more, and especially if you're struggling to lay back down, add even more. So this next part, we're coming into Supta Baddha Konasana. So you're supported, or your bound angle pose, supported, reclined bound angle pose, which is our supported butterfly. The option here is with the legs, the butterfly part. If that doesn't feel good, you can just have the legs extended. So assuming that you'll see how the butterfly part goes, you can grab your blanket and fold it to a longer, or open it or fold it to a longer fold, so you can roll it up, and it's a long roll. We want that to have length, and you'll turn to face away from the bolster, about hand width distance between your hips and the bolster here, facing away. I'm going to face this way so you can see properly for a moment. Butterfly poses the soles of the feet together, heels closer in, and notice that I'm not trying to let my legs fully land on the ground. Sometimes that just won't be achievable based on flexibility or mobility or the literal bone shape of your hip joints. Sometimes they're just not shaped that way. So it's not a failure if your legs aren't touching the ground. You really want to highlight that in a lot of different poses in yoga. And what you'll do is you'll place the blanket over top of the feet. It just helps them keep together, and then tuck it under the thighs. So that way there's support there. If your knees are really up high and that's not, you're not touching the blanket at all, add in cushions, add in extra support so that they're supported at least, no matter how high they are. So again, that's the option. Other options, legs extended, but either way, you're facing away from the bolster. Slight tuck through the pelvis, so you're creating space for your lower back. Lay yourself down and then adjust the block as needed so that it's underneath your head and it's all comfortable there. So with your arms, I recommend not taking them directly out to the sides. That's quite strong for the shoulders. Let them sort of be down and out to the sides, maybe palms facing up, or if you like, elbows bent, hands resting over your body. Whatever works for you. So I time these as well, just so you have this awareness that being kept track of. Once you're there, you might take a deep breath in, a long breath out. And then just find an easy breath. If you can breathe in and out through your nose, do that. If not, that's okay.
letting the weight of the body and gravity take over you. It's really what you're aiming for. So if your mind wanders, it's okay. Just bring it back to something like the breath or that weight of your body or anything else here and now. That helps. When you feel ready to, maybe taking the last couple of breaths here, take your time with this. Help your knees up towards each other if they're still there. Wrap your arms across like you're giving yourself a hug. And from here, rolling onto your right side. So, or over to the right, and help yourself up, but keeping the knees drop down to the right, feet tucked behind, and just shuffling the hips back so that the support is in line with that mid thigh. You can place the blanket over you for warmth, for that weight, but you can also place it between your thighs. Just for padding, it can be really useful in letting the inner thighs release their grip into your supported twist. So framing the bolster, untucking the bottom hip so you've got a bit more space, and then let yourself rest down. So you can adjust the angle and let yourself take a moment so that you are supported rather than the shoulders really bunching up here, having to bear the load of the weight. Try to find a position where the elbows can be wide, you feel supported, and you can let everything rest down. And then you're ready, like that position. Maybe take a deep breath in through the nose. Long breath out of the mouth. Let yourself arrive here. Another couple of breaths here. No rush. No hurry. When you're ready, use your hands as support. Slowly peel your way up, breathing in.
Take your time, exhale out the top, and then just simply
Roll your way over with your legs around gently to the second side.
lining up the bolster on this side, maybe re-angling it. And then untucking that bottom hip, framing the bolster. Make sure everything else is comfortable. Let yourself rest down here. And again, take a moment to adjust so that you can rest. Once you're in that position, you might take that deep breath in, long exhale out. Letting yourself rest.
Another couple of breaths here. When you feel ready, use your hands as support slowly. Peel your way up. Let it be lazy. Your head be heavy, whatever works. Exhale. So from here, one of two options, coming into your supported child's pose, or if that doesn't feel good for you, your supported crocodile pose. So I'll demonstrate both as always. So your supported child is with or without the block. It's really up to you and it's really a preference depending on how you feel, but you're sitting back on your hips and the bolster or your stack of pillows is about up to mid to upper thigh. So you can see there's already a lot of flexion in the knees. There's going to be flexion in the hips and there's an extension in the ankles because you're pointing away. So if that doesn't work for you, the supported crocodile pose may be the one that suits you better. But otherwise, framing the bolster here, resting yourself down. So if you're feeling really not relaxed or supported, add extra props. So add the props. You may even like to place your blanket, if you're not using it as a prop, as an additional prop, over your lower back or over your back, just for warmth, for the kidney area, feeling safe, secure, cozy. So you turn your head one way if you're in child's pose. If child's pose doesn't work for you, you might like to explore your supported crocodile. So that's where you move the bolster away from the block. Make sure the block is between it and the bolster, and you'll extend your leg behind you. Same thing, you can use a blanket over your back if that works. Bolster only comes to about chest height, so your face can go in the gap, forehead on the block or cushions, elbows wide, and notice you're removing a whole lot of that flexion finishes in the lower back, the lower body. So you choose, I'm going to come back into that supported child, but you choose what works for you and find that. Now let yourself fiddle around with it as needed. And just exploring that. I'll let you know when it's halfway, so it's time to turn your head if it's turned one way. If it's neutral, keep it neutral. If your head is neutral, keep it that way. Just turn one way and it feels okay to turn at the other for balance. Another breath or two here. When you're ready, use your hands to support. Slowly step your spine enough. Exhale. So we're leaving the props as they are. If nothing else, you might bring that incline to a bit higher, depending on the spot you have. So this is a bit flimsy for me, right? So if it's flimsy and it's not very sturdy, I wouldn't go too high. You'll see why in a moment. So just make sure it's sort of there on a slight incline. The other alternatives do this with a chair instead and just bend the knees, but we're coming into this supported inversion, really, just with the legs. So you're staying hips on the ground, scooching them in close. You might grab your blanket here, extend your legs up to support. So you can see that's why it needed to be to a degree supported, and then tuck the blanket in around the legs. So that way they're less likely to split apart and fall off the support. Just make sure you have that just as best you can, and then lay yourself back. Find that comfortable position, lay yourself back, maybe placing something over your eyes. Again, take a deep breath in, long breath out. Let yourself rest here. notice that slow moving sensation of the lymph moves down with that gravity, recirculation. Also, the longer you lay here, you might notice your body, either the ribs, the back of the ribs, shoulders, lower back even, just resting with gravity. You feel ready to move from here into Shavasana, that final relaxation. So you might wiggle the toes, bend your knees, maybe bringing the bolster around widthways so that you can keep the blanket on you. But extend your legs out, have the bolster underneath the fruits of your knees. It's up to you. I'm going to sit up to take you through your relaxation. So just find that comfortable position that feels good for you. Letting yourself really arrive here. Adjusting as needed.
Send the weight to the body. Everything else. And your breath, just letting it be easy. No force needed. No pressure needed. No hurry. Control. Really allowing yourself to rest. Then if and when resting feels challenging, it will sometimes. Staying exactly as you are for the moment. Of course, if you'd like to stay in your relaxation longer, please feel free to do that. Otherwise, notice into your breath. Maybe finding an intention that you can take with you off the mat for the rest of the day, whatever else serves you. If you're completing that, starting to invite gentle movement back into the body. You might wiggle toes and fingers, or extend your arms up and over the head and the feet. Big stretch for the front of the body. Sigh or yawn if you need it. Bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a big hug. Maybe rock side to side or drawing circles 3 times each direction. Then rolling over to one side, help yourself up, find a comfortable seat. Take your time. Into there, let your eyes close or lower. Let your hands rest either in your lap, and your legs, or even together at your heart. There's no right or wrong. It's whatever works for you. Pausing for a moment in this transition out of your practice into whatever comes next. Pausing for a moment here and now. Gratitude for yourself. Taking the time out of your day. Gratitude for anyone that practice with or anyone who's helped you to be here and practicing. gratitude for your practice. Now take it here.